Hello everyone, I'm Greg, Head of Imunify360 Products. Today is 29th of May and we are conducting the third webinar on Imunify product updates. So what we have for today? Firstly, I'm going to tell you about the recent product releases, which were version 4.7 and version 4.8. Yeah, today we've got two on the list. Secondly, I'm going to introduce Imunify360 version 4.9, major highlights and key updates. And lastly, as usual, we will have questions and answer section. So I will answer your question about everything related to our products. Okay, let's start with version 4.7. It has been already released to production and available for installation. Some of you are already using it. And the main focus of the release was on a better resource usage control, new defaults for malware scanner, and a new feature called WordPress Simple Password Brute Force Prevention. Let's check them one by one. I'm going to start with the better resource usage control. And now when Imunify360 is installed on a server running Cloud Linux OS, it's using LVE to control CPU consumption and I/O intensity. Previously, we used IO-Nice for managing file operations during malware scans, but it's effective with CFQ I/O scheduler only, which is not always supported in the system, and the malware scanner could increase IOPS in those cases. Now, the Cloud Linux OS, on the Cloud Linux OS, resources used by the malware scanner are limited by LVE, and the rest configuration are covered by original NICE and IO-Nice. Everything done automatically, so you should not configure anything for that. Next one, default malware settings. We've been tweaking the Imunify360 configuration, so it's the best right out of the box and doesn't require any initial adjustments. The best means the most efficient and effective from a security and resource consumption perspective. And finally, we've come up with the following. Scan intensity level minimized, so not to stress your system while scanning. Background scan monthly to check all files periodically. By the way, with rapid scan enabled, it takes up to 20 times faster than the initial scan. So please enable it and you will see the difference. Trim instead of removal for safer cleanup. When it's on, the file will be truncated to zero length instead of removal from the file system. Default action cleanup for a more effective fight against malware. So it will be zero infection if you enable it by default. And all those settings will be applied for new installation only and won't affect existing installations. But I would recommend also to enable those values right away on your current installation because it's very effective. And moving on to the next slide. So the next one is WordPress Simple Password Brute Force Prevention. In the Imunify360, we've been blocking the WordPress brute force attacks for a long time, and the monitoring shows that the number of attacks is increasing, and a lot of them happens via guessing a simple admin password of WordPress, which in turn allows the attacker to log in to the admin panel like a legitimate user, upload malicious theme or plugins, and install malware on a user account. When I'm talking about simple password, I mean 12345, test, or password 123, which are still very popular among admins and very easy to guess. I bet you've heard about that issue. So when the feature is enabled and Imunify360 detects the usage of trivial or well-known password, based on brute force dictionary, it takes admin to a special page that informs about the security issue and asks kindly to reset the password. When the user clicks the button, he's taken back to WordPress password reset page on the original domain, and the REST flow remains the same. The feature is experimental and disabled by default. Also, it's based on modsec rule, which could be disabled on a per domain basis. So if you face any issues, just disable it, depending on the place where it happens. Overall, we've implemented 48 tasks and fixed 12 issues in this release. And now let's take a look at version 4.8. It's in the gradual release phase so far and will be available for all customers in about a week. If you want to upgrade to version 4.8 immediately, you can use the command from the release notes. So we usually publish it along with the release, so you can see what type of command you should execute to install it right away. The main features of the release are Auto-configurator for web application firewall rules, Malware scanner UI enhancements, and Litespeed support for the standalone installations. The most important part of the release is the WAF rules Auto-configurator, a tool that allows automatic configuration of an optimal set of modsec rules based on the content management systems which websites are running. For example, if you have a website running WordPress, no reason to have other rules enabled for Joomla, Magento, and other content management systems. Now Imunify360 knows what type of web apps are installed on a server for each domain and reconfigures WAF rules accordingly, automatically, and on a daily basis. Let's see what benefits it gives. Firstly, minimum false positives for the rules, because a specific subset of rules will be enabled based on detected web apps on a per domain basis, as I told before. Secondly, a web application firewall will consume significantly less resources than a complete rule set for every single domain. Thirdly, you will notice improved WAF performance. And finally, it's a regular and fully automated process of reconfiguration of rule sets. So no need to do anything manually or enable some rules. It will be done automatically, completely. The best set of rules for every single domain. Next one is about Malware scanner. Malware scanner got several enhancements. The most noticeable is the ability to run scans by a user. Previously, user could see only the report and cleanup files when it was allowed by admin. Now the administrator can enable user scan in the configuration, so any end user can initiate the scan process of the account and anticipating possible high load on a server during multiple scans. We implemented a special queue for user scans, where scans are handled one by one. Also, we provided a separate CPU and IOPS intensity level settings with minimum values by default, and by default this feature is off. So if you want to have that button enabled, you need to go to the configuration file and add that settings. Please read documentation on that. So we have that described, and it will be available for all users. Next thing, in order to improve workflow visibility on a cleanup process, we added new chart on the dashboard, which is called cleaned malicious files. Now you can see both detected malware and cleaned malware on the dashboard. We have two charts on the dashboard regarding the malware scanner. Another UI improvement is the indicator of missing events in the history tab. We decided to add that feature after one funny case. A new customer didn't believe that Imunify360 is good at detecting malware because he couldn't see any malicious files in the report. After analysis, it turned out that he enabled cleanup as the default action, so all detected malware was automatically cleaned right after detection, and they disappeared from the report. Apparently, he didn't check the history tab that captured all those events and couldn't realize that. So now we have that indicator indicator of missing events, missing records, as well as improved messaging after cleanup. So you can see it all on the slide, and now you will not miss anything. And the last thing regarding version 4.8, the standalone installation of Imunify360 support Litespeed web server. We've got comprehensive documentation on how to install Imunify360 as a standalone setup and configure it for either Litespeed or Apache. So now we support both, and the rest are coming. So we will add Nginx also and open Litespeed later. And overall, regarding this release, we've implemented 96 tasks and fixed 9 issues. Now it's time to reveal some upcoming features that are releasing in version 4.8. We are going to introduce CentOS 8 support for the standalone installation of Imunify360, as well as for direct admin and Plesk panels. The real-time scan will be more efficient and effective since we'll implement file change service, support so-called file change API, and extend and rework the list of watch directories and files. So now it will start with the user home and covers all folders under it. And we have also some exceptions inside the user home, but now it's much more effective than before. As a result of many customers' requests, we will add bulk actions for blacklist and whitelist management. So you can add several IP to the list with a couple of mouse clicks. The current performance of the file recovery process in the malware scanner is not perfect, so we are going to make it perfect. It will be fast and less resource intensive. And we will extend the way the proactive defense deals with standalone malware. Currently, we forbid to include malicious PHP scripts into other scripts if they are detected as a standalone malware by malware scanner. In the upcoming version, we will prevent those scripts from running, which significantly reduces the number of reinfections. So this is pretty much everything I'd like to talk about on our releases. And on the last slides, I've compiled for you the list of useful links. Please follow them, read the documentation and updates, and please send us feedback on those releases. It's very valuable for us. Thank you very much for watching, and now it's time for questions. Okay, we have one question so far. How soon do you plan to release version 4.9? So we are releasing it to beta during the next week, and I think we have it released as production version within the next three weeks. So it will be completely available to all customers. Okay, we have another question regarding automatic WAF rules. What rules will Imunify apply for Laravel and any custom website? By default, Imunify is using original subset of rules. So if it cannot identify the version of web app, so it will use the default configuration, the default set of rules. If it can identify what type of web apps is installed, then the special rule set will be configured for that. So in case of Laravel, I believe it will be original subset. So nothing will be changed in comparison with the existing solution. Is it possible to create an upgrade button? Could you please clarify what type of upgrade you mean? So when it should be, because by default, well, we have all functionality in it, so it's not clear what type of upgrade button should be. Will you introduce the ability to block bad bots, agents? Currently, we've got a lot of different components that can do that automatically. And we have RBL in ModSec. We've got different heuristics in cloud-based part of the Imunify. It's hidden, so you cannot see how it works, but it has a lot of rules that can block bad bots and bad user agents. So we see on the monitoring that it's working great and it blocks a lot of bad bots currently, and we are constantly improving that set of rules. So we believe that it will be close to perfect within the next couple of months. In case you have like the request for customization, please come up with the feature request. You can send it to feedback@cloudlinux360.com, and we will add it to the roadmap, plan accordingly, and we will implement that. What happens when a user changes from Joomla to WordPress? How fast will you update the rules? So there are two ways to update the rules. First way is automated way. It will be done in a day. So every day it scans the whole set of domains and rebuild the rules according to detected web apps. So for example, if you change WordPress to Joomla today, so tomorrow, there will be a new set of rules for this particular domain. And if you need to force that process, you can just run CLI command. So it will initiate that process right away. So you can update it almost immediately if you want to have it. I wouldn't recommend to run it from the CLI because, well, it might be resource consuming process, but if you need to run it once at a particular time, well, you can do that. You can use CLI command, and we will describe it in the documentation. Any way to feed data to Zabbix or Grafana? We are thinking about that. We are thinking about integration. First of all, we have to come up with the list of data to export. So if you could help us to understand what actually is crucial for you to have in Zabbix or Grafana, please send us your thoughts, and we will prioritize that. So if you know that you really need the list of incidents, for example, or the number of hits in the malware scanner, so we can start from that. So it would be great to know what actually you want to monitor. Okay, in CPU, VHM and Plesk Imunify plugin taking too much CPU for scanning, how to reduce it or to optimize it. And also in the cPanel, PHP hardening feature, log server, YAM updates, please guide me. Okay, so let's start with the first part. If you see that malware scanner takes too much resources, you should go to the settings and reduce the intensity level for scanner. By default, it was the highest one, so you can slide the value to 1 or 2, and you will have limited resource consumption in this case. So it will be limited by CPU and it will be limited by IOPS operations. So it's like the best way to limit resource consumption. And now we support LVE for Cloud Linux, so it will be very accurate. If you don't have Cloud Linux operating system installed, then it will use nice and ionize. So in this case, the best way to reduce CPU consumption is to reduce the intensity level in the settings, or you can use CLI command to do that. Either is fine. Okay, next question was about PHP hardening feature. So unfortunately, it's not clear what exactly the question is about, but we have PHP hardening as part of Imunify360. You can enable it from settings, so just go to the settings and press the button to install PHP hardening. So it will be there in several seconds. So it will be installed automatically. Regarding log server YAML updates, it's not yet clear what it means, but in case you face any issues, please submit a support ticket using Zendesk, and our support team will help you, will assist you to resolve those issues. I'm pretty sure it will be very fast. We are currently using Imunify AV+. Is there any automated upgrade process to Imunify360? Unfortunately, so far we don't have automated process, so you have to uninstall Imunify AV+ and install Imunify360, but we have it in our plans and we are working on that, so we will have that upgrade process, automated process. Is AV+ a part of Imunify360? Well, the functionality is the part of Imunify360, so everything that AV+ has, Imunify360 has also, so it includes everything. But from the upgrade process perspective, they are different products, so they are different applications, so you cannot just enable some functionality because you have to install additional set of packages just to introduce some other functionality like ModSec, like Web Shield, Proactive Defense, because they are absent in AV+. So it's not that easy, and by default, they are not included into the AV+. So you have to install Imunify360 after it. Oh, version 5, is it coming? Yeah, it's coming, and we scheduled it for July or the beginning of August, so it will come later this summer. And we will introduce a lot of new features. Yeah, it will be great, and we will have another announcement. So we will have another webinar regarding that, and I will explain what we will have there. Is the functionality of CSF config server firewall is all on the Imunify also? I mean, I don't have to turn CSF if we have Imunify. Well, it depends on the particular functionality. In general, we can cover everything from the security perspective for server. But if you need something specific that is in the CSF, then we need to check it, because I cannot say for sure if we have that particular feature or not. But we have integration between Imunify360 and CSF. Currently, they are working together. They are working very good, and no need to remove CSF at this time. But from the security perspective again, so we can cover everything, every single attack that could be handled by CSF, for example, and we have much more functionality in the Imunify. Okay, so I don't see any new questions. I think we can finish the webinar. Hope you enjoyed the webinar, and thank you for your participation and great questions, and hope to see you at the next webinar. Thank you and bye.